Hey, welcome back to the channel. Today I have a bold prediction. I don't think marketing agencies will survive 2026. So marketing agencies charge massive retainers, at least $5,000. And most of the cost is because of the overheads those agencies come with. There's a project manager, there's an account manager, and then there's individual people who are actually getting the work done. But now in 2025, we have seen that AI is getting so much better at a lot of these marketing tasks. So let's cut right to the chase and talk about those 5 tools and workflows to replace $5,000 marketing agencies.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
So number one is brand assets. So half the time you're paying massive retainers to marketing agencies to produce on-brand graphic designs you can use for newsletters, social media, or different marketing campaigns. So Nano Banana Pro now is state of the art for consistent visuals and writing text in basically any font, which is really what we need to produce graphic design assets. If you don't believe me, let me show you an example. Let's say this is the style I like and I want to create new banners for every single newsletter. So now what I will do is I will take these reference designs, add it to Gemini 3, and just ask it to learn from these designs and turn that into a prompt. Now here's the prompt it generated, which sort of sounds like you act as an elite editorial illustrator for a high-end publication like this. Your goal is to take a set of raw notes, news notes about AI, synthesize into a single clever visual metaphor, and generate illustration in a very specific, consistent style. And then it talks a bit about the aesthetic, which is exactly what it's learning from my reference styles. Now, every time I have a new newsletter post and I want to communicate the idea of a newsletter post as an image and a metaphor, all I have to do is just use this prompt, then add the research or the notes for that newsletter. And these are some of the results we're getting. Again, based on the prompt, I can ask it to change things. Maybe I want to add a bit more text into it. And this is another result we're getting for a different topic: the great AI divide. Velocity versus verification. Here we have a hardware chip with some wings on and it says hardware acceleration. Then we have regulatory hurdles, which is like a book called rule book with a chain. There's safety bottlenecks, so we have a brain locked in a cage with a stop sign. I think to the content I had, this represents the content of the newsletter really well. And I didn't really need an agency to create these graphics for me. All I had to do was learn from my reference styles and assets, give a prompt, and boom, I can produce tons of these assets at scale, at speed, at a fraction of a cost. Okay, let's move on to the second one. Another big line item that marketing agencies charge for is competitive intelligence. But really, behind the scenes, they're just using a tool or two that you can use yourself to gather all those insights. And there's a very high chance the tool they're using behind the scenes to gather your competitive intelligence data is a platform called SimilarWeb. And it's free to try. I'll drop the link in the video description as well. Basically, once you're logged in, you can either type your own website or your competitors. For example, let's just try something that everyone can relate to. So we're just gonna do chatgpt.com. So once I type the website, it's gonna show me a whole bunch of data that can be leveraged to reverse engineer basically their entire marketing strategy. So here, as I scroll down, I get to see the total visits they've had in the past month, the device distribution, the global rank, the monthly visits they're getting, page per visit, bounce rate, unique visitors, and the duration of the time someone's spending on that website. If we scroll further down, we get to see the visits they have over time. So it looks like the traffic for ChatGPT has been climbing over the past 12 months. Then if we scroll further down, we get to see where all the traffic is coming from. So if we really dial in here, we get to see United States is the #1 source of traffic, India being number 2. Surprisingly, Brazil is number 3, UK number 4, followed by the rest of the countries. Then we have a channels overview, basically where they're getting most of their traffic from. It looks like direct search is a major traffic source, which kind of makes sense for ChatGPT, knowing how popular they are. Surprisingly, there is a bit of paid advertising too, which I didn't expect. Then we have some of the referral traffic as well. Now, if we scroll further down, we get to see the organic search and the keywords that are being used for that search. Top paid non-branded search terms: Gemini, Gemini AI, AI OpenAI, Google AI Studio, which is so interesting. According to this data, you know how we saw they're doing some paid advertising now? So it seems like they're scared of Gemini. For the keywords, Gemini AI is when they're trying to do their paid search to redirect the traffic to ChatGPT, which is so funny. Then you can also look at top referring websites and top referring industries. This one's actually one of the most useful ones. I mean, it wouldn't really make sense for ChatGPT. I mean, most of the traffic comes from like bigger players, but let's say you are a bit more smaller industry. Let's just try Notion. It'll be interesting to see if there's certain blogs that might be referring to this particular competitor or the brand. And that's your leverage to find out which publication sites those are. And maybe you can also use that as a channel for your own product as well. So if we use Notion for an example, we are getting 1.6% of their traffic share is from GitHub. Now, which is interesting. Asana is also 0.64. So maybe this is because people are linking Notion docs within Asana or whatnot. So this is where you can start like gathering some of those intels where your competitors are getting their traffic from. The same way, you can look at the outgoing traffic as well. For example, for Notion, the top 5-6 outgoing traffic websites are Google, Notion, which just might be linking to a different page, Apple, Notion.site, and Zoom, which is an interesting one. And if you scroll further down, again, you get to like see where most of the social traffic is coming from as well. In case of Notion, we have YouTube, WhatsApp, Facebook, X/Twitter, LinkedIn as like primarily major sources of traffic for Notion. If you sign up for the trial, like just put in your competitor's website, put in your own website, and really see the data you can gather and the insights you can gather from the data as a way to do your competitive intelligence research. That being said, before we move on, I just want to show that you can also do comparisons. You can just type in the first website, then you can just go here on the compare tool. Now you can put one or many websites that you want to compare for whatever research or insights you want to gather. In this scenario, let's just do ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, and Claude. Now when we scroll the data, all the data is going to be like comparing all of them. So here we can see like the traffic. Which one's this orange? So it looks like Gemini traffic is actually on the rise here if we compare, but still way below ChatGPT, which I think is going to catch up in the new year. Then again, we can look at the geographical distribution among all the competitors, marketing channels for all the competitors, the keywords being used, the paid search keywords, referral sites, ad monetization, social traffic, and all that stuff. So you can really start digging into these data and see like where the gaps might be in your marketing or acquisition channels compared to your competitors. Like I said, you don't have to pay a marketing agency to do this work for you. Maybe if you want, you can use a agentic browser and just like have those shortcuts created so it can create the report for you by automatically analyzing this data if you feel like you don't have time. But the point is, instead of paying marketing agencies, just don't forget this tool exists for you to do competitive intelligence, which is super granular. Next up is content research. Maybe based on the data you got from SimilarWeb, you maybe identified that you need to create more content for a specific channel. Maybe you just want to boost your organic or maybe SEO, whatever might be the case. You don't need to pay someone to tell you what to post. Ideally, what you want to post is what your audience wants to hear. And most of the time, audience just wants their pain points to be resolved. And what better way to find those pain points than using AI deep research? So before you start digging into deep research, you need to first figure out where your audience is. Again, if we look at the SimilarWeb data, maybe your audience is mostly on YouTube, it's on Facebook, it's on Twitter, it's on LinkedIn. So depending on where you think your audience is, would make sense to figure out which tool you may want to use to do that deep research. As a simple rule of thumb, I would say break it down into 3 different buckets. If you think your audience is on X, if this is where they're going to be talking about their pains, their angers, and all that stuff, don't even think twice, use Grok. The reason is Grok is built by X, so they have native access to all the data. So in this case, I will be like, hey, can you find me pains of the people who are learning AI, as I want to turn that into content ideas for my newsletter, where I help people learn AI. Please research the conversations on X to find that data. So now what this will do is it's going to go through the conversations on X, and it's going to find us all those pain points our audience, our target customer has expressed online. And all those ideas is basically our content plan. So here, again, we didn't even do a lot of complex prompting. It was a very simple prompt, and we have pain category, overwhelmed from information overload and lack of structure, impatience and unrealistic expectations, technical barriers and prerequisite gaps, frustration with AI tools and experimentation. And here we have some newsletter content ideas, escape tutorial hell, my 3-step AI learning blueprint. Actually makes sense. Why AI learning feels slow and 5-month hack to speed up without burning out. AI basics decoded, nomad guides to tokens, context, and why your prompt suck. Then we have prompt like a pro, your AI tool frustrations in 1 session before after examples, or a challenge, 7-day experimentation log, track wins, ditch the fails, unlock your style. If I'm paying in marketing agencies, they're probably gonna give me back the same ideas. And now I'm getting these ideas based on some of these pain points, and the tool was able to research in like seconds. The other option is maybe X is not where your audience is. Maybe they talk about things on Reddit. In that scenario, I would probably use tools like Perplexity. I would go to Perplexity, we're just gonna do the same prompt, and instead of conversations on X, in this case, we'll just say conversations on various social media platforms. And then I would go to my sources, and I will go for social, I would go for web. I don't have to go academia here, so I'll just use those socials, and I would hit run. Well, I mean, my score for this prompt was like 16, so I should have improved my prompt, but in this scenario, I just want to show an example of how we would approach that content research instead of paying an agency to do that work for me. So for Perplexity here, we did use that deep research feature. So it's going to take a little bit longer than it did for Grok. That being said, if you're not paying for Perplexity, if you're using Gemini, Claude, or ChatGPT, whichever you're paying for, they have access to pretty much the same data. So you can use any of these platforms as a starting point. And if you do have more budget to like experiment, then I would experiment the same prompt across multiple of these LLM tools and see which one helps me with the best results. I might just let it skip some of the research so we can get to the results for this demonstration. Okay, here are the results. Here's like 10 pain point categories we can use to drive our content strategy. So here it says overwhelm and information overload, which also matches with what we got in Grok. And then actually finding the exact quotes where people are actually talking about that. I glanced at my browser and noticed 47 AI tools bookmarked, 47 each claiming to be the next productivity unlock. 47% say they don't are not using AI to its fullest capacity. A learning AI feels like another full-time job on top of my actual job. Pressure to keep up. Every day brings a new AI advancement. So then there's like current content opportunities where 3 AI tool stack, stop collecting, start creating. Weekly AI digest, the one thing you need to know. AI minimalism, how I cancel 42 subscriptions, I'll get better results. The 80-20 rule for AI, master 3 features, ignore everything else. These are making sense for content ideas. These AI data analysis tools are godsend. I like using a tool called Julius. Essentially, the way these tools work is that you just upload your data set. In this case, I have a data set for some IG Reels data. And all you have to do is explain in like very natural language that what analysis you're trying to do. So here, the question is like, can you analyze and see if there's any correlation between the posting times and the views or hashtags used or views? So now it's going to automatically load up the Python script to do that analysis, and it's going to show you the visuals of those results and kind of give you a summary of what's happening. So in this case, what it's saying is that the computed correlation is approximately minus 0.31, indicating a moderate negative correlation between posting times and video views. This suggests that as posting times increases later in the timeline, the video views might tend to decrease. You might consider evaluating if posting at earlier times could be more beneficial when aiming for higher views. Let me know if you need additional analysis or further refinement. So as you can see, like I didn't really have to spend all the time like crunching numbers in Excel or whatever. Just upload my raw data set, ask a simple question, and AI does the rest. But maybe I have data set where I'm comparing like my content topics and the views. Now, once I've done the research of content topics based on the pinpoints, Grok or Perplexity research, I can use the data. I can take the data based on my topics and the views. I can put the two together and ask AI to give me a summary of like, hey, based on the topics that I've performed well before and the new topics that my AI researcher suggested, tell me what are the top 3 topics I should be posting this week. Now you see, we are automating the work of a marketing agency just using a couple of tools. I mean, if you have any questions about this, like drop a comment. We can easily do like part 2, 3 on this very video topic. But we're going to move on to the next step here because I think the video is getting a bit longer than I wanted it to be. The next thing I'm going to show you is about like video feedback or content feedback. Did you know like Gemini, even 2.5 and now Gemini 3, you can actually upload videos and Gemini will reason over it. For example, I just uploaded my TikTok and I'm going to be like, hey, can you please evaluate this TikTok and tell me what can I improve here so I can go viral next time. This video did like 40K views, but how can I make it go to 400K views? I'm just dropping a random prompt just to kind of show you the analysis it's going to be able to do. Okay, so the hook. So the video is already quite strong, 40K views, solid validation for the concept. To bridge the gap, you need to optimize the retention, watch time, and engagement. Here's the breakdown. What worked? You start with Nano Banana and Moral Dilemma. See, this was a text on screen in the video. I never said Moral Dilemma versus like Nano Banana as like exact words for my hook. Then it says the name Nano Banana is quirky and intriguing. The Moral Dilemma promises a story with stakes. Actions start with cool art on screen, display, show results first, amazing image, and then say I just stole this art style in 3 seconds. And I don't know if I should feel guilty. I like that. Like in my hook right now, it was just like me talking, but having a cool art style visual and showing that I stole this style in 3 seconds could make a very compelling hook. Then it talks about my pacing and editing. You use jump cuts and showed your screen, which is essential for tutorials. How to improve the middle section, 5 to 12 seconds, where you explain the process that felt a tiny bit tutorial heavy rather than story heavy. See, it's able to analyze like the crux of my video where it was tutorial versus how I should be focusing on the story heavy. Then the action here is like speed up the technical explanation instead of showing the mouse clicks, Gemini, Nano Banana, engage in hyper fast editing, flash the prompt, flash the result. The audience doesn't need to see the mouse move, they need to see the magic happen. Then it talks about the controversy / engagement trap, where I say like, I feel like kind of stealing, what should I do? it says you played it a little safe. To go viral, you often need to be slightly more polarizing. It understands this content creation quite well. Don't just ask one question, state an opinion first to trigger people. Designers are going to hate me for this, but I think this is the future of art. Or is this efficiency, or am I actually a thief? I see what it did here. Then it talks about like visual polish and audio, the Nano Banana Curiosity Gap, then the summary checklist for 400K views. Visual hook, show the art immediately, know your face. Polarizing statement, faster cuts, so some sound effects. And this is the feedback I got on a video. I don't think any marketing agency is gonna give me this granular feedback on all my videos. I don't think so. Or maybe they will if they charge me like 15, 20K. But Gemini can give me this feedback on every single video for basically free. All right, let's move on. Last one. And this one is about like new marketing campaigns. So I made a mistake of paying a marketing agency to produce UGC content from Prompt Genie, which is my startup. So I paid them about $1,000 to experiment with like maybe 20, 30 videos of where we're gonna have like someone talk about something and then we show the product demo just as a way to increase the awareness. Their videos like flopped the whole time. My experience was very bad. I pretty much burned my money. But then we just decided to experiment pretty much the same concept with AI UGC. So here what we did was we just created an AI avatar and pretty much used the same concept. Instead of like having the person talk on camera, we just used some sounds. We had like the face on screen with a hook on top and we had a product demo. We were able to experiment with like 30, 60 videos like for like basically $5 or $10 because we were using a tool to generate these AI avatars and someone on the team was just putting these clips together. And the results were so much better. Like this video I'm showing you got over 1 million views. This was better ROI, like a single video ROI was so much better than the agency we paid $1,000 for. And now every time we have a marketing campaign, we like think AI first. Like, is there a way we could like test something quickly with AI? And in this scenario, for example, like we can have the same person, if it works, have like 10 different hooks, post 10 different videos on the same channel, see what works. And now we can like, use those learnings and the data we gather to run the actual campaign with humans. So the way we're thinking now is how can we use AI to experiment our new marketing ideas or marketing campaigns faster and cheaper, and then scale up what's working with humans involved. This is just one example. I have an example of how I basically built a mailing list of 30,000 people, again, leveraging AI. But let me know in the comments if you want me to talk about that in the future videos. I'm gonna skip this for now. Because the point I wanted to make was how much you can get done with just like 5 tools or 5 AI workflows without paying a marketing agency that costs like $5,000. In 2026, literally every single marketing team, every single marketing person, they have to leverage these tools or workflows to experiment faster. Because like marketing is essentially like, it's like basically a scientist with some data and some real world people. You have a hypothesis, you have an idea, you test it, you get the feedback, and you go from there. And with these tools and workflows, things are so much faster, so much cheaper, and you like it or not, it is the future. If you learned something new, give a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments what video you want to see next. And as always, thank you so much for paying attention. I hope this was worth your time. I see you next time. Your Chief AI Officer signing off.